stills of a movie that was being made. And this doll head was just laying on the floor of the desert. When the Navajo Indians live in these little hogans, and when somebody dies, they move and they leave all the person's belongings behind, and the coyotes go in and pull them all out. There's pots and pans and shoes and toys. And this doll head was just laying there, and I didn't even touch it. I just laid down on my stomach with a real wide-angle lens. And some years later, this became an album cover for the group America, their album called Alibi. Look, Hard Rock Cafe, wow. And this was in '69. No one ever heard of a Hard Rock Cafe, so we went in there, we spent about an hour drinking Budweisers. Jim loved to hear these old guys talking about their life. You know, they were winos and merchant marine guys and just guys that drink the afternoon away. And he loved hearing them talk. He was a poet. He loved to hear people talk about their lives. And so then this picture went on the back of the Morrison Hotel album. And as soon as it came out, they got a call from London, and a voice on the phone said, "Would you mind if we use that name? We're starting a cafe here in London, and we like to call it the Hard Rock Cafe." And they said, "Yeah, no, sure, go ahead." And so this is where they got, the beginning of that whole Hard Rock Cafe empire was from this little Skid Row place, which had been here since the 30s. So it certainly didn't mean rock music. It meant mining, rock in a hard place, something like that. Shooting the Lovin' Spoonful, and here they are. Whenever I got them in a group shot, they would always try to wreck the photo some way, by giving me the finger or something like that. One day when I was with the Lovin' Spoonful, Mama Cass called up and said, "I'm going to bring some friends by," and it was the Hollies with Graham Nash there in the middle standing. And Graham said, "Oh, you're a photographer, we need some pictures, so we'll come back tomorrow." And here's the Lovin' Spoonful. They tried to wreck every shot I took. But on the other hand, the Hollies were like folk models. It blew my mind. They were, "Where should we stand? What do you want us?" They were so cooperative. Almost made it more difficult. Here's the Monkees on their set. Early in my career, a Teeny Bopper magazine called me Tiger Beat and asked me if I would go and spend the day photographing the Monkees on their TV show, and I got to be friends with them, and before long I was their photographer. That's a book, Autobiography of a Yogi, by Yogananda, which I had given to Peter. That was a book that greatly influenced me in the early 60s, really changed my life reading that book, so I gave it to friends of mine, and I was happy to see Peter reading it. In Laurel Canyon, my neighbor Mark Holman, that's him second from the left, he lived across the street from me, so I went on the road with the Turtles, and we were driving in Wisconsin, and we saw all these signs that said cheese, and an arrow pointing, and we followed them for about a half an hour, and we came to the Bass Lake Cheese Factory. And so they're eating cheese on a stick there, and we got back in the car, and then we saw this sign, and we had to stop and take a picture. That's called, when I was a teenager, I had a girlfriend whose father was a brigadier general, and he would always, if you made a mistake or something, he would say, "That's PPP, poor prior planning." And this was an example of poor prior planning, I always thought.